My name is Tabitha Ross. I'm the Residential Services Director at Camp Allen, which is a camp for children and adults with special needs in Batavia, Ohio. I started volunteering at Stepping Stone Center, which is the sister agency, when I was 12 years old. Worked at day camp and summer camps and did some respites in the wintertime on weekends. Became a full-time staff about 13 years ago and co-directed for a handful of years, and now I'm the director of all the residential services. Because there's a huge emphasis, especially with this increase in kids with autism and different behavioral disorders, there's this huge emphasis on every single behavior they have in a day, every single thing that goes wrong in a day. I went to a meeting about a lovely individual who we just adore her, but the meeting was set because her behaviors were not classed the way everybody wanted them to be. So I was handed a list of literally everything this individual had done wrong in the last 30 days. And it was very bothersome to me because how do you have time to write all that down? But I said in the meeting, I must be missing a page. And the director was like, "Excuse me, you're not missing anything." And I said, "Where's the list of everything she's done right in the last 30 days? And so the frustrating thing to me is, why do we care about every little nitpicky thing that is wrong? So we teach our staff, and I teach my children who have lived in this environment their whole lives also, and everybody that I come in contact with. If you're looking at somebody and you say, "It is time to color because that's what the schedule says," and they don't color, why do you care about that? I don't do everything when my schedule says I should. I don't do my dishes immediately after dinner every night. So shouldn't somebody be making a list of every time I do that wrong? But now, of course, if they're harming themselves or they're harming others, and you ask yourself, why do I care about this? There's a reasonable answer to that, and of course we need to address that issue. But I think that if you're addressing every single negative thing, the person is by nature going to become negative and increase in negativity because no one's showing them the positive things or being positive towards them. So when that individual, she was appalled when I asked her for this sheet of paper, and she just, it was like, here's a woman who's worked in this field for years, and she didn't understand the purpose or the goal, or why would you even need that? I thought, wow, what a backwards way of thinking with individuals with disabilities. We just expect them to be negative, and that doesn't make sense to me. This camp is not about us. It's not about them intruding on our space. It's about us offering a vacation, a comfortable place where they're not different than everybody else. It's not about inclusion where they're the kid in the wheelchair that's trying to play basketball with 8 kids who are 6 feet tall and making every basket, and every once in a while someone nicely hands them the basketball to pretend to have a turn. It's not about that. It's about, this is your place, and we're going to make it work for you, and you are the norm here. You're not keeping up with the Joneses. There's no need to. The Joneses aren't better than you. You are who you are, and we make sure that the staff understand that. We have a buddy camp in the summer, and we take our individuals who are in wheelchairs, medically fragile, live in the facilities, sort of the group of people who aren't yet mainstreamed into actual community, and our campers who have earned the right come in there, they're one-on-one volunteer for the week. They also have a staff obviously assigned to them, but and they do things like help them get their diets, help them color, go do a lot of errand stuff, but keep their beds made and their stuff set out. And it was huge this past summer. I think we had 18 buddy campers. The summer before we only had 6. We decided to grow, and it was so cool at the end of the week to see these campers who had forged relationships just like we have with those individuals, are still asking about them when they come to respites, and got to be their buddy for a week. It was really, really cool. So we hope that grows again.
Tell me what feedback the buddies give you.
The buddies, they're pretty funny because you'll have the buddies that are caregivers, just like you have us that are caregivers, and then you'll have the buddies that are activity people. And so depending on which side of the world they're on, they'll ask questions like, did I do a good job with their dinner? Did I do a good job cleaning up their place? Did I find all their right stuff? And then you have the activity campers that are like, can we go swimming again? Can we get out the water guns? And they start having ideas of fun things to do with them, which sometimes we haven't even come up with yet. So it was just cool, and it was great to see families. Lots of comments from family members in the beginning saying, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do this? Do you know what you're getting into? I generally laugh at them, and then they sort of laugh back and go, do what you're going to do, Tabby. But scared. Like, why would you let my kid be in charge of somebody? Why wouldn't I do that? And then in the end, it was hysterical to just see these families at the award ceremony really finally believing that it happened, you know, and they'd spent the whole week waiting for me to call them to say, not working, you might want to come pick them up. Couldn't believe it. Was just a really neat situation. And to watch parents walk to the cars with the buddy campers and saying things that you would say to your typical son or your typical daughter, you know, about how I'm really proud of you. You did a great job. You know, I mean, things that they don't get to hear very often, and they got to hear it, which was so very important to me. I do a lot outside of this. I'm really involved in the school, very into education of children. Have done some breakfast clubs with the nurse at the school to make sure that all of the kids have breakfast before they come to school, things like that. Like to donate toys and school supplies and stuff because it's stuff I didn't have. So I was definitely a product of a divorced family, which people live through that, and that's not a big deal. Definitely a product of the welfare system, which doesn't work. And had a mother who had quite a hefty mental illness that to this day she refuses to admit to. And so it was scary, and there were some times when things were really, really good, and you felt safe again and comfortable, and then the next day you weren't safe and comfortable. Groceries were never there. My 10-year-old sister, when I was 8, parented us. My mom was nowhere to be found for days and days. So did we get through it? Absolutely. But the only reason that I got through it at that age was I had excellent teachers. I had excellent teachers who cared about me and took an interest in me and really worked hard to make sure that I had what I needed, and I had a safe place to fall. I knew that if I got on the bus at the Norwood High School and went to Stepping Stones, I was okay. And if I was only okay for 6 hours a day, I was okay. And then I could deal with the rest of it. So it was just, I wish somebody had helped her. I had a terrifying childhood, an absolutely terrifying childhood. And Stepping Stones really saved me from what could have ended up being either not even being here today or being a teenager that was in trouble all of the time. Stepping Stones became quite an escape for me. And I knew that if I could plan activities, when things were really bad, if I could sort of corner myself and come up with arts and crafts activities, if I could get on the phone with my friends and talk about this really cool thing that was a good thing in my life, that it just really got me through. And I've always wondered why nobody's curious about that, because it's huge to me. So a lot of this world that I live in is really feeling as if I have not paid it back yet. I've not given Stepping Stones back what Stepping Stones gave to me. And I need to do the best that I can to someday be even and have paid that debt back that I terribly owe Stepping Stone. I believe that it's our job and our responsibility. And I don't know who said this quote, but it's always stuck in my head, that you should always leave the world with more than you've taken from it. And so my kids are raised that way. This is a cool thing to do. You know, it's really much more fun than it looks. You know, it's a good time. And I hope people are just calmer and more understanding and more grateful for what they have. But also that people take a minute to realize that they have special needs too. We all need other people. Nobody can do everything 100% of the time on their own. So remember that they're not different. Their special needs sometimes are just a little more obvious than, they're not as good at hiding it as we are. You know, we're pretty good at hiding our needs. And I hope people see that at some point. I hope that I can someday see that it's just not as big of a deal. Why is it such a big deal? I don't get it. They're just people.